Hello, it's Drantane 1400, and these are my thoughts on the first episode of the show Fillmore. Now, Fillmore, if you don't know, is a detective show set in middle school where the crimes are parodies of real crimes. Now, the show itself takes itself very seriously, and this show, beat by beat, could actually be a real crime show if it had a different setting. Now, the real reason why I actually want to review this show, though, is not only that it's good, but it has moral lessons within the show. And I want to discuss these. Now, if any episode does not have moral lessons, I will be skipping them. But as of now, I actually do not know, as this is the first time actually seeing the show. Now, if anyone who wants to review the episode, there will be a link to it in the description. This link is just a YouTube video, so I assume the show is good because otherwise YouTube would have taken it down. Now into the brief summary of the episode. I'm just going to do these like very brief summaries. No reason to discuss every plot point. This is just to give you an overhead of what the episode's about. Anyway, here it is. Basically, there are new bathrooms, and these new bathrooms were tagged with the word stainless. So they were graffitied with the word stainless. And because of this, the safety patrol, the detectives, are on the case. And Fillmore and Ingrid, those are the two main characters of the show, and the ones that we're going to be following the most, go to Rando in order to get some more information. Now, Rando is someone who's locked up for tagging or graffitiing, and they get him to get some information about the new tagger for stainless. Now, some stuff goes down and they interview some people and they end up capturing the wrong person, which Fillmore and Ingrid almost immediately figure out that it's not stainless. And then they figure out that stainless is actually left-handed, which leads them to get some more help from Rando. However, because of this, Rando ends up escaping. Now, Fillmore and Ingrid end up capturing Stainless, who is Robin, and after that, Fillmore convinces Rando to give up tagging and return to art. Now, the next section is going to be about the characters. Now, this is like the first episode of the entire series, so they just have to kind of introduce the main characters, and that is Fillmore and Ingrid. There are a few other characters here and there, and we kind of get to see kind of their personalities and everything. A few things we noticed, particularly about Fillmore, though, and we're shown this and not really seen it, is that he is someone that really follows true justice. Like, he wants to get the correct criminal. He doesn't want to get the wrong criminal and everything like that. And he goes out of his way to make sure he does. And he is also someone who wants to help those that are criminals as well and try to lead them to see the wrongs. And he does this at the end of the episode with Randall, which more into later when I talk about the morals. But that is like the first things that were shown about Fillmore. Now about Ingrid, we are shown that she is actually very intelligent. We're kind of told directly that she is new and that she has a photographic memory, which I assume is going to come in at a later episode. Now we also get Randall's backstory like a few times and everything, and each time it's kind of a more detail of what happened to him, which is interesting and kind of explains his character, and we kind of see his point of view, and his redemption actually means a little more because of it. Now, speaking of redemption, let's get on to the next section, the morals. Now I'll tackle Randall's redemption first, as it is the part that I like the most. Being a Christian, I really do like redemption. Like, everyone can be redeemed, and it's shown that even a criminal like Randall can be redeemed. Now, of course, it's not the Christian redemption, but it is redeeming a character and them seeing their flaws and seeing how far they have fallen. For Rando, it was Fillmore, and Fillmore pointing out that Rando used to do a lot of art that moved people and everything, and then Fillmore actually challenging Rando to graffiti his own name so that people would remember that. And that's where things get actually a little interesting, because the method that Fillmore is actually using to actually get through to Randall, he's challenging him, challenging his beliefs, and challenging that he actually won't do something, won't actually taint his real name. Instead, he'll use the graffiti flavor saver. And this is interesting because it is a way to get through people. Now, you have to know the person pretty well to actually get through them. You actually have to know the person really well to get through them like that, challenging them to do something to cross the line, and then realizing that they don't want to cross that line, and realizing how far they've fallen. I think it's done pretty well here. It's not done perfect. First time viewing it, you might not actually realize why Randall actually changed his mind. And that's because he realized he doesn't want to be famous. He actually wants to create art that moves people. He got too caught up in the fame and everything, and he didn't want to actually ruin his name as well. Like I said, any show that shows redemption is a good moral point. And Randall was presented to be like the worst of the worst, and him being redeemed kind of shows that anyone can be redeemed. Furthermore, this episode also has a lot to do with fame, as there's a few characters who do stuff because they want to be famous, because they want to make a name for themselves, including Randall and everything. He actually started graffitiing because he wanted people to remember him by. And this kind of shows the depths at which people will actually want fame, and shows that it is actually wrong to actually do that. It doesn't go into detail about why fame is actually bad, because fame can actually corrupt people and everything. I should say fame isn't bad by itself, but it can lead to other things. And even trying to get fame, people can actually do a lot of wrong to get there. And that in itself is bad. We see it with the main bad guy, Robin, as she wanted to be remembered for getting the best stalls, and she wanted to be like president and everything. And we see that she was willing to graffiti to actually get what she wanted. So many people want to be famous, and I don't think they understand what fame means. I think it's definitely a case for the grass is greener. Like, people think their lives would be better if they're famous, and it's definitely not. But beyond that, fame will always be fleeting. Like, people won't remember anyone after a few generations of them gone. And this is kind of just the truth. And from like a Christian standpoint, this is kind of why Christians, and I'm speaking to Christians here, not non-Christians, but this is why Christians need to focus on God, focus on Jesus, because that's where stuff is eternal. You're looking after your eternal soul. You are following God eternally, and that will be remembered eternally by God. So what I'm saying is that people need to just be reminded that Christians in particular, I'm saying, need to be reminded that fame is always fleeting. It always is, and that we should focus on the things that matter more. And for non-Christians, same thing. Like, at the end of your life, are you to remember how famous you are? Is that what's gonna drive you? Same with money or anything else, or is it gonna be you actually remembered is like your friends, your family, and stuff like that? That's what's gonna matter to you the most. Now, there's a lot here. The one I like the most is redeeming. Anyway, overall, I thought this episode was pretty good. It was a pretty good intro. Like I said, it has the same beats to an actual detective show, and it's just the theme that's different. And they do take themselves seriously and stuff. I do like how I am liking the show. Like, this is the first time watching it, and I do like how the show presents itself, and it gives morals, and it shows these morals instead of just telling you. You kind of have to really think about it. I do like it in this first episode that it's shown one of the hardened criminals of Rando actually being redeemed. That was something I definitely approve of. Overall, this is pretty good. Now, for these episodes, I'm not always going to like positively about the morals. If the episode actually shows a moral I disagree with, I will explain that at this the moral section, this last section here. For episodes that don't have morals at all, I'll just be skipping. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. See you in the next one. Bye.